Welcome to this session on entrepreneurship development. In this session, we'll be talking about analyzing marketing opportunities. We have been talking about analyzing marketing opportunities as a part of the marketing management module within entrepreneurship development. In one of our previous episodes, I think we had discussed how does an entrepreneur go about looking for marketing opportunities by scanning the environment, the demographic factors, economic factors, technological factors, and so on. He also carries out a SWOT analysis of the organization, trying to find out the internal strengths and weaknesses of the organization and match them with the opportunities and the threats arising in the environment. And then he goes into some kind of a classification of the opportunities and the threats, thereby devising suitable marketing strategies. We had also said that this is not the only way one can look for marketing opportunities. One can also look for marketing opportunities in the mission statement of the organization, the vision of the organization, the business definition of the organization, wherein there are lots of avenues for growth and development and new marketing opportunities. Now, having said all this, we had also introduced a very convenient framework for analyzing marketing opportunities, and that is a framework by Ansoff, and we call that, it is in fact called the Product Market Expansion Grid. It is a very simple framework wherein we take the products and the markets and draw a 2 by 2 matrix. The product can be classified as existing product and new products. Every company will have hopefully some existing products and thinking about some new products. And every company would have certain existing markets and certain new markets to enter into. So if you divide the company's entire business into existing products and new products going into existing markets and new markets, then you get 4 different categories of strategies. Okay, like for example, when the company is trying to market its existing products to its existing customers in the existing markets, then a company can derive growth in terms of market penetration. It has to penetrate deeper into the existing market with the existing product. Mind you, the limitation here is the company is not thinking about developing a new product. The product remains more or less the same, and it is thinking of growing in the existing markets, penetrating deeper into those markets so that there is more sales, more revenues, and more profits.
So this means that you can even edge out your customers or your competitors over here?
Yes,
in
why not?
market?
Here in this market, you are trying to take your competitors head on. Okay, you have got a set of competitors who are direct competitors to you, and they are also vying for the same market. And herein you are talking about a strategy which is a direct confrontational kind of a strategy. You go on a head-on confrontation with the direct competitors. Okay, trying to edge them out in terms of market share.
So promotion becomes a very big tool over here.
Right.
Sales
So the
promotion.
sales promotion will be a major field of activity when you're thinking about penetrating these markets deeper. What is sales promotion? As we all know, sales promotion is a group of activities. In fact, it can be a very varied group of activities, I would say, wherein the objective is to promote sales in the short run. Okay, it does not have too much of a long-term objective. If you look at the marketing mix, okay, the marketing mix comprises of the product, the price, the promotion, and the distribution. Okay, now only the product is something over which you are not making any changes. The rest of the elements of the marketing mix are open to change and manipulation. So as he's correctly saying, maybe you could do a more aggressive pricing by which you will draw more customers into your fold. Okay, maybe you offer a product at a much reduced price for a short duration of time, even in that kind of a market. Okay, and then draw more customers as a result of that. See, basically what we are trying to say is that we need to attract the non-users into the market. We are talking about a given target market, all of which does not buy my product. Okay, so some people are buying my product, they are my existing customers, but then there are many other prospects who need to be converted into customers. How can you do that? For example, offering a higher level of service, improving the quality of the product somewhat. I mean, without changing the product, if you can improve the quality of the product, or you do a more aggressive pricing, do a more preferential kind of a promotion, which will shift attitudes from one brand to your brand. All that is to do with enticing customers of your competitors to try your product.
Service sector can personal attention to high profile customers or Prospace can be a tool.
Of course, in fact, that's a quite a pertinent point. In fact, in this group, what becomes of relevance is the customer relationship management. Okay, how do you develop a better relationship with the existing customers? Rather than talking about new business development, we are talking more of customer relationship management. How can I hold back existing customers, encourage them to buy more, persuade them to buy more, develop relationships? Okay, and it has always been seen that with effective CRM, customer relationship management, your volumes will increase from your existing customers.
So definitely these existing customers will induce new customers even.
Absolutely.
They will bring new customers automatically.
That's the other
That
advantage
is
of it. See,
Indirect, I can say this is an indirect kind of marketing.
this is an
which
indirect effect that the CRM exercises will fetch you. So market penetration would really aim at encouraging your customers to buy more, use the product on more different occasions. That's something that can be done through the help of more innovative advertising, innovative promotions, and encouraging the customers of the competitors to try out your product. So that is also to do with more aggressive sales promotion, pricing, and doing innovative things which the competitor does not match up to, and then distributing more effectively, going deeper into the markets by opening or making your products available at more and more distribution outlets, thereby making shopping convenient to the customers who are otherwise not going to buy. Okay, and all these things are aimed at getting more revenues from your existing markets. So that's one broad group of strategies trying to look at existing products in the existing markets, but that's not all. Okay, and there will come a time when the company will have to think about exploring new markets. Okay, and to do that, we have a group of strategies called the market development strategies. And in this group of strategies, what we are referring to is the existing product going into new markets. Okay, this is quite logical. When you have, let's say, saturated the existing markets with your product, then it's quite natural for you to think of seeking out additional markets, new segments of the market.
So a very good example can be cited of the shopping malls that are coming up at different places.
That's
and
right.
They are initially concerned about the footfalls rather than the sales. So that can be a very good example of market development.
Why not? Yes, shopping malls coming up in prominent localities where the density of the desired kind of customers are high, the footfalls are going to be high. They are trying to draw in those customers, right, under one roof where they can shop for many different kinds of products. Why not? What other things can you think of? You have got a set of existing products. You want to go out into markets which are not known to you, which you have not tapped before. Okay.
So those fairness creams, first it was only available for females, and now they have come for males. So I think this is a very good example of market development.
Absolutely, that's a brilliant example of a market development strategy. The product itself has not undergone a change. This is what you need to appreciate. The product has remained the same.
Only the packaging.
It has only got a different kind of a packaging and different kind of a promotion, and as a result of these changes, is going out to different markets altogether. Men who would have not touched a fairness cream are now a market for certain companies trying to market fairness creams for men. So that's another segment that the company has sought out, and for the same product. So with the help of promotion, you can really take the product to different markets, and that's exactly what we are referring to here. Without making changes to the product, or at least making changes which are merely cosmetic, and not intrinsic, you can go out and proliferate into different markets which you have not been able to tap before. So promotion will come in very handy at this point of time with the help of promotion, and with promotion will come more innovative methods of distribution and reaching out to those markets, and pricing. So when you are not changing the product, mind you, all the other 3 P's in the marketing mix are playing a very prominent role, trying to reposition the product in a different market. Okay, fine, we take a break at this point of time, and we come back and discuss more about market development and other strategies connected with new products and new markets. Okay, thank you. Welcome back. Before going into the break, we were trying to talk about the different strategies involved in this existing product being marketed to the existing customers or the existing market, and even how an existing product can be marketed to different segments or new markets. Okay, and we took up examples like you mentioned about a fairness cream being marketed to men, which was traditionally considered to be a product or a brand for women exclusively. That's one novel way, an innovative way of going out into a different kind of market segment. As students of marketing, we all know that a brand enjoys a certain positioning in the minds of consumers. Okay, what is this positioning? It is the unique thought that is planted in the mind of the consumer when he thinks about that particular brand. And it is because of this unique thinking about the brand that consumers relate to that brand easily, and they tend to get loyal to that brand, and that's exactly what the companies want. And there are situations also when the companies would like to reposition brands. When it wants to get into new markets, it has to do that. It has to reposition itself. Like these two brands you are referring to, these two products you are referring to, try to do things similar to that. Okay, try to reposition the brand itself to a separate group of customers, and hopefully that has worked. The sales results are going to show.
And even for automobiles and speed, it was associated with youth. And
Right.
now we are talking about family cars or
That's
family
right.
vehicles. So they are
That's
again
right.
repositioning it in the minds of the people,
That's
the
right.
customers.
In fact, the automobile market also is something similar, in which the product does not undergo too much of an intrinsic change. Much of the change is to do with the styling and the appearance and all that, and with such minor changes. But then I would even call a change in styling of an automobile as a major change. For an automobile, a change in style is not a cosmetic change, because the amount of investment that you'll have to make to bring about a change in style of an automobile, even without altering the engine and the internal vital parts of the automobile, that would call in a lot of investment, and that would rather qualify as a product development exercise rather than
geographic. When we go into a new geographic area, that
Yeah.
can be a market development.
Of course, it can be. Like so many companies abroad, they are trying to come into the Indian market. Looking at the big population of the
India.
Indian market, looking at the huge Indian middle class and its growing income, lots of companies are attracted to the Indian middle class market, and therefore they're opening shop in India. Here in India, they're trying to sell their products and services here in India. That's all to do with an exercise in market development. Even Indian companies, as you would know, are trying to open shop abroad. Okay, lots of Indian companies are in the news because of what they are doing in overseas markets. That's also an exercise in market development, where Indian companies are moving out and seeking new markets abroad, in the European Union, in the Americas, and all that development.
So, sir, for market development, advertising is very, very important. Like sales promotion was in the case
Yes.
of market penetration.
Yes, Piyush, you're absolutely right. In pursuing a strategy of market development, a lot depends on how you promote, how you advertise. Okay, because we are talking about some kind of a shift in positioning, if not a complete shift. We are trying to do two things. One is we are trying to create a new positioning in a new market, or we are trying to shift or reposition ourselves, our brand, in a different market. Okay, and to do any of these, you will need to invest heavily into advertising. And to do this, I would even say that before investing heavily into advertising, you would have to invest quite significantly in marketing research, trying to understand consumer psychology. Marketing research, consumer research are areas that you have to spend money in to understand what are the requirements of those markets. Is there a latent need? Is there a latent desire in the minds of those people which can be fulfilled with our product without making too many changes to our product? That's one kind of study that is an input to your new market or market development strategy. And of course, when you are sure that there is a latent requirement, there is a gap in the market which can be fulfilled by your product, then comes a question of implementing that strategy, and therefore advertising aggressively, so that you ultimately deliver that desired positioning in that market. Okay. Yes, so market development certainly is, as you can see, it's a different group of strategies. You are looking into different segments, different markets, geographic or even otherwise, or even perceptually you are trying to create new markets. So that's different from the market penetration strategy, wherein you are really not tinkering with the product or with the market. Both are remaining the same, only you are doing more of what you are doing. More of intensive marketing is what you are practicing when you are following a strategy of marketing penetration. But then you are doing a completely qualitatively different thing when you are doing a strategy of market development. Okay, so there's a qualitative change. It's not a quantitative change. Fine, so let's now move on to a different arena. Like the company also, almost all companies think of developing new products. Reason is very simple, because products have something called a life. Okay, no product is an immortal thing. Products go through a life cycle. There is something called an introduction, a growth, a maturity, and a decline in the life cycle of a product, which is familiar to you. So if that is so, every product would one day or another enter into a decline phase. What happens then? The company will have to replace those products with new or new products, innovative ideas, better products, superior products. So the quest for new product will always be there in an organization, more so in rapidly changing environments where competition
needs of the people are even changing.
Needs of people are changing rapidly. Competition is driving change in the marketplace. Technology is driving changes. So
and even the needs uncovering, that is very
uncovering
important.
needs of customers. Customers themselves are seeking variety, novelty, and those kind of things. Therefore, the quest for new product is always there, and it is, as I said before also, is no longer a matter of choice. It's really a matter of compulsion. You will have to develop new products. Now, when you develop a new product, one has to keep in mind what is a new product. Intuitively we tend to think that a product that is hitherto unknown to the market or to the world, let's say, is a new product. Like, for example, when the telephone was invented, or let's say when the aeroplane was invented, when the fax machine was invented, the Xerox machine for the first time was invented, the photocopier machine was invented. Now, those were path-breaking inventions which drove changes in the marketplace. Now, such things are going to be few and far between. Okay, so a new product, the quest for a new product cannot be confined to or restricted to developing products which are completely new to the world or new to the company. Okay, so there can be different products, different additions and alterations, even addition of features, changing certain things in the product and coming out with a different product is also a candidate for a new product development.
Coming with a different flavor of the product, like soaps and these kind of stuff.
Like good example can be telephone and mobile phone.
We'll come to your example on telephones. Let's handle the example she has given. For example, lots of consumer non-durable products like soaps, detergents, toothpastes, and all those things which we use on a daily basis. Now, even those products are innovated. I wouldn't say they are invented, they are innovated. People come out with certain innovative attributes or features in those products which find an appeal in the market. Okay, like introducing a new color even to a product, will appeal to a certain section of the market. Okay, so the existing market, the interest of the existing market, mind you, we are talking about the existing market and the new product. So when a new product is being marketed to your existing group of customers, what are you really doing? You are trying to sell a new set of benefits to your existing customers. You know that your existing customers are also looking for variety. They're also looking for new experiences in life. And therefore, with whatever products they are used to, you want to give them some kind of a different experience, some kind of a novel experience. And therefore, you think that even a change in color, a change in flavor, a change in packaging, some slight change in the product, a change in the product form maybe, would all qualify as new products. Okay, it is not necessary to think that a new product is something which is not known either to the customer or to the company. It can really be some small changes being made to the product. Okay, so all line extension decisions. Okay, you introduce a new product line under the same brand name, let's say, even that qualifies as a new product. So let's say when you add salt to a toothpaste, it becomes a new product, really. Okay. Or when you change the product from an opaque paste to a gel, it becomes a new product, because the product form is undergoing a change. You change the color of the gel from red to blue, that becomes a new product, because it's seeking out different customers in the marketplace. The same customers who are using that particular gel, you will find that some people have got a fascination for the blue gel, some people want to stick to the red gel. Okay, so there is some kind of a perception about these products, these colors, these changes being affected by the company to their product, and as a result they are getting more business from the existing markets. And of course, not to be missed out, your example of the telephone, the journey that the product telephone has undergone over its life cycle, a very interesting journey. In the beginning, it obviously was an invention, before which people did not know how to communicate long distances. Okay, So the telephone itself was an innovation. But then, let's say when it started off, it had a very big, clumsy-looking, apparatus where you had to dial the numbers, whatever number you had to ring up. You had to dial the numbers. Okay. Now, from there on, it has undergone a long journey. The digital sets came in. Like now, you no longer have to dial numbers, but simply press the digits. Okay. And that made the use of the telephone far easier. Now, this is also, I'm saying, a new product in the sense that you are introducing a new set of features to the existing product called telephone. Okay.
And even making it more convenient.
Making it more convenient for usage by the existing customers. Okay. So obviously, such products, such developments have made the older versions obsolete. Okay. And then what happened is the telephone underwent different changes and brought in several other features apart from making only phone calls. You could you could also find out the caller ID and all that. So all these features which were added around the phone on the phone became additional features which made the phone a more attractive proposition, with the help of which the customers could do many more things than just making a call or receiving a call. Okay, so
changing the form into cordless.
Right, even the change in form from a stationary or a landline to a cordless phone was also a big jump in the advantage that it gave to the market, and that also qualifies as a new product. And thereafter, what happened is something which I would really term as a discontinuous development. Like when the telephone became a mobile phone, a cell phone, a cellular phone, which could be taken anywhere, used in a completely different manner, and with the help of which there were so many other benefits, that I would look upon that as a revolutionary kind of a thing, and it's closer to an invention rather than an incremental innovation on an existing product. The reason I'm saying this is because it brought about a complete change in the usage habits of the product. The consumers, whatever they could do with the landline, a stationary phone, and whatever the consumers are now able to do with mobile phone, they are so dramatically different that you would really tend to call them different products almost, as if.
But adding on features like camera, radio, that will be the modification.
Right. For example, you are now adding on the camera to the mobile phone. That is an incremental benefit on the product called the mobile phone. Okay. So now again, it's undergoing a reverse journey. It's now really adding on benefits and features on the basic product, which is a cell phone. Okay. So
the example of computers undergoing such a change, from computer to desktop to laptop, and now to somewhat like pocket computer.
Right.
Palm top is
palm top. So wouldn't we say a new product development?
Certainly. These are all steps in the area of new product development, and at the extreme end of it, I would even say that they are efforts at diversification. It almost becomes a new product for a new market. You see, when you talked about the first of all, when the computers arrived, they had one kind of a form and they had one kind of benefits. They were not so user-friendly. You had to know how to key in commands for the computer to understand, and not all people could use them. From there, we have come to a situation today where anybody can use a computer. Even a small child or somebody who is quite low in terms of literary abilities can also use a computer. Okay. Now the point is, if the market has been changed to that extent, wherein you start off with a core product and that core product develops into such an enormous benefit to a group of customers, then I think it is time to look upon that product as a discontinuous innovation. See, the spectrum of change, is a long one. As at the one end, we are talking about introducing new features and attributes which are more cosmetic, without changing the intrinsic benefits of the product. That's one. And at the other extreme, you have got a situation where you are, bringing in so many more benefits, so many unheard of, unthought of benefits to the existing product, that it caters to new markets practically.
Actually, it would be more of diversification than...
It is really in the area of a diversification. Think of a situation where, the original, let's say the personal computer, the PC, was a stationary PC, okay, a desktop, which was, you had to go to a particular place, sit on that desk and use a desktop, okay. People would normally use them in the offices or in the homes. Now with the advent of the laptops and even the palm tops, which you are referring to, now that has undergone so much of a change, and people are really able to do computing and stay in touch with the rest of the world through their laptops and their palm tops, even when they are on the go. Okay, so now that's brought in a completely different market into the fold of computers. the typical consumer who was using a desktop and the typical consumer who is using a palm top or a laptop, you will find there are significant differences between the two different markets. Okay, and if that is so, I think this comes more in the jurisdiction of a diversification rather than merely an incremental attempt at a new product development. So that's what the new product development strategy is about. It can start with cosmetic benefits, cosmetic features, and end up in developing a product which is very different from the original product from where it has started. Like we talked about the examples of the telephone or the personal computer. Okay.
Like service industries of banks and all,
Yeah.
even they provide services from via ATMs and
Right.
all.
So when the ATMs were opened by the banks, the entire banking habits of people underwent a dramatic change. So that I think that is one situation where we will refer to that as more of a diversification strategy. But then the other thing is, in terms of services, the basic service nature does not undergo a change. Okay, what you are doing at the bank, you're now doing at the ATM, let's say. Okay, so your basic usage habit has not undergone a tremendous change. What has happened is banking has become more
Convenient.
comfortable, more convenient, closer to your home, and anytime, different hours, you can go to that ATM, draw money. So basically, it has what has happened is the market has brought in convenience to the usage of the banking facilities. So that is really I really hesitate to call that a diversification in the true sense of the word. It is more of a product development, but then a major development, I would say that. And diversification, of course, is one thing which companies do when they are doing a different kind of a product for a completely new market. Okay, so this is, I would say, more of a corporate kind of a strategy and not just a marketing strategy. And what we will do is we'll wind up our discussions here today, and we may take up some discussion on the diversification strategy in some other episode. Okay, thank you very much.